Well, hey everybody, it's Pastor Sherman Ray, and this is In God We Still Trust, the podcast. I want to welcome you all to the broadcast. Hope everybody's doing well. Hey, finally, we're officially here now, guys. We're officially focusing all of our attention on In God We Still Trust, and I want to thank you all for being a part of it, and that you're all going to be jumping on board with us. I want to first let you know that we do actually have our YouTube channel up and rolling. So if you'd like to get involved in our YouTube channel, I'm going to go there right now, as a matter of fact, and make sure we're up on there, and hope it doesn't make a bunch of noise. But if you'd like to get in on the conversation, we're going to be on. We're going to be having this airing on our. So we'll be live on Saturdays, but we'll air it on Sundays. So I want to make sure everybody knows, does that make sense to you, that it'll actually be up on Sunday, so you'll actually be able to get some of your questions in on our Sunday broadcast. And we hope that everybody's actually really able to get in on the conversation. I mean, it really is very exciting to be a part of something like this. So the the YouTube channel is In God We Still Trust. And so subscribe to it, hit the subscribe button, and every time we have one of these broadcasts, you will be able to get involved in it. Also, you can email us at InGodWeStillTrust1@gmail.com. That's InGodWeStillTrust1@gmail.com. Or you can actually go to our website at GodWeStillTrust.com. GodWeStillTrust.com. Okay. Anyways, so we'll be on Sundays at noon, and I just want to get that all out of the way. Okay, we'll talk about it a little bit later, but I want to make sure everybody gets all that information right up front. So, what's going on here with Rosie O'Donnell? Here's our first story. We have to start with Rosie because we're going to highlight some of the things that have gone on all this week long, and I hope that you're able to keep up with this. Rosie O'Donnell, many of you know, former actress, former, somebody. She's had it in for President Trump for quite a while, and has said that basically, I hate him, and that she left the country. So she lives in Ireland now, and yet, she's lived there for for several months now. I guess she still cannot get it out of her system that President Trump is not coming to her house. He's not going to, change her lifestyle at any level, and her therapist seems to think the same thing. She was on was it Nicole Wallace's show, and it's called this is very interesting. This was very interesting. So let me just read this whole thing. He says, actress comedian Rosie O'Donnell admitted on Monday that her therapist was not panicked about Donald Trump, as she was, and that was a great concern to her. Appearing on Monday's episode of The Best People with Nicole Wallace, O'Donnell voiced her frustrations to the longtime MSNBC anchor, and said, that President Trump continues to implement his agenda. There will be no America left when she is finished, or when he is finished. And so I want to play something to you. I don't know if you're going to be able to hear this. I hope you are. But it's part of the interview that Rosie had with Nicole Wallace. Hopefully you can get some of this and hope you're able to hear some of this. Here it goes.
We'll be Americans together, right? Because what's happening is not only happening to Democrats, it's happening to everyone. And when the Medicaid cuts go in, old people are going to start to die. What he's done yet hasn't even hit us yet. Right. And
wow. And that's where Rosie's at in this whole thing. She's like, I think what it is her therapist is going, you know what? I think you're fixating on this guy way too much. Yeah, you're fixating on him way too much. And as a matter of fact, you probably need to just back off of this a little bit, because Rosie, this is going to get to be you're getting to be kind of weird, right? You're getting kind of weird, and I think that you should probably just let this go. And but I don't think she's gonna. And unfortunately, we've got a lot of people who are living on the on the wrong side of, I guess, history, and they seem to think that that by them continuing to voice their complaints, their angst against President Trump, that something will be done, but it's not. The Trump train continues on, and I think people are really excited about this. They're excited about what he's doing, and that's a good thing for the rest of the country. Okay. Well, this next story is really about Gaza, and many of you have heard about this already. And this is one of the highlights. It was probably one of the biggest highlights of the week, because the president was able to facilitate what we believe is going to be the release of all of the hostages that are in Gaza. He's also going to look at the ceasefire that has been in place, that everybody's been hoping for so many months now. This war has been going on for almost 3 years. It's an amazing thing. So this is the way it went. The president and Israel have basically gotten together, and they said, look, if we don't end this very soon, what's going to happen is Israel is going to go into Gaza, annex Gaza, and they're going to get any hostages that might be alive out by hook or by crook. Basically, that's what it is. So this is a Reuters story, and it says U.S. peace plan for Gaza proposes end of war, return of the hostages. And this was the story as reported then, and this was just a couple of days ago. It says the White House peace plan for Gaza, released on Monday, proposed an end to the conflict between Israel and Hamas and the return of all hostages, living and dead, within 72 hours of Israel publicly accepting the agreement. And as the days went by on this story, Hamas finally said, yes, we agree to your terms. And yet the problem we have here now is that, are they going to actually release all the hostages, or are they going to kind of slow walk it? And that's the scary part about this, is that most of the people they ask about this whole plan, they're saying, well, we don't believe Hamas at all. As a matter of fact, we think Hamas is going to drag this out a la Russia and Ukraine, and they're not going to actually leave. Can you imagine this, though? Here's the thing about it, folks, is that Hamas, which does not want Israel to even exist, they've been in control of Gaza for a few years now. And they have stated that they want to push Israel into the sea. And now they're faced with annihilation or capitulation. So they've been told by Israel and by America, if you don't do what we ask you to do, leave and give up all of your power, that we're going to destroy you. And guess what? But in the Palestinian mind, in the terroristic mind, being a martyr is the way to go. And so I don't believe that they're actually going to leave, but time will tell, and we're going to find out in just a short bit of time whether or not this is going to happen. Well, let's take a really quick break here, folks, and we'll be back in just a second with more of In God We Still Trust. I'm Pastor Sherman Ray. We'll talk to you in just a minute. Here we go. All right, and we are back, folks. It's Pastor Sherman Ray, and this is In God We Still Trust. I want to thank you all for being a part of the broadcast today. Hope that everybody has been able to, keep up with what's going on in the world. And if not, tune in with us every Sunday at noon for In God We Still Trust. Okay, every Sunday at about noon on that specific standard time, and for In God We Still Trust. So, and for you folks that are watching us on our YouTube channel, you get kind of an early bird sneak peek of it. That's all cool. You know, we're excited about this. You can check us out on GodWeStillTrust.com. You can email us at InGodWeStillTrust1 at gmail.com. We would love to. Actually, you can keep up with us X, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, all those places. And on Godstream TV. I really encourage you, go to Godstream TV, and that's who produces our entire show, so we're very excited about that also. Many of you have already heard about something that's probably been going on, and it's probably the biggest thing that happened all week long. And these are the ICE raids that are occurring all over America. And it's probably one of the biggest things that's ever happened in America over the last, over the last year, where the president who ran on a platform that says, guess what? The Democrats allowed over the last 4 years 20 million plus people. And he says, you know what? We're going to get rid of them. We're going to get rid of every one of them. And Kristi Noem, Tom Holman, Pam Bondi, and everybody who is a part of the administration have been going after all of these people. Well, Democrats have not liked this. They don't like the idea of getting rid of all of these illegals. Is it because they love them? No, it's not that because they love them at all. It's really because they have somebody who will vote for them, and that's really kind of their biggest thing on this thing. Well, this is a story, Fox News story, and it says illegal aliens are arrested by ICE, found registered as active Democrats in blue states. And many of you heard this story already. There was actually a guy. This is probably one of the most remarkable stories you could ever imagine. The guy's name is Ian Andre Roberts. So Ian Andre Roberts was an illegal from, I think he's from Guyana, and he came in here on a student visa, overstayed his visa, decided he didn't want to go home. Was on an order to leave the country, decided he wasn't going to leave the country, and just so happened he found a job as a superintendent of schools in Iowa. ICE finally caught up with him, arrested him, and so I got to read you the story, and then this is the most remarkable story. After an illegal alien, Ian Andre Roberts, the superintendent of the Des Moines public schools in Iowa, was arrested by ICE. The Republicans blew the whistle on the fact that he was a registered active Democrat voter in the state of Maryland. According to the official website for the Maryland State Board of Elections, Roberts, who overstayed his visa, as we were saying, in '99, had an active voter status and is registered as a Democrat in Maryland. The development was first reported by columnist Dustin Grage. Republican State Delegate Matt Morgan, who is chair of the Maryland House Freedom Caucus, told Fox News that Roberts' registration means that he is eligible to vote as a federal in all federal, state, and local elections, despite the fact that he is not a U.S. citizen, and also despite likely not having lived in Maryland for the past decade. And I got to tell you, folks, I mean, here's all the bad things that are a part of this whole thing, okay? One, how did this guy get to have a job for the school district? I know this for a fact. If you want to work for the school district, you have an FBI background check. And it is not a little bitty check. It is a very inclusive, it's an all-encompassing background check. I know some people talk about their I-9 and all this stuff. It doesn't matter about the I-9. You have to go through an FBI background check to work with children. Somebody dropped the ball on this, and they dropped it big time. And I know they're talking about the school board being under scrutiny on this, but this should be the FBI also, because this guy not only became a worker in America, he's working with kids. And that should tell you something. This should tell you something is wrong in America where something like this can happen. And here's what the founding fathers said about anybody who was running for elected office, anybody who's wanted to have a position of authority in America, that we need to be very cautious about these people. And this guy, evidently, somebody dropped the ball. Now let's compound this with the fact that the guy is a registered voter. Okay, how can he be a registered voter? He's not even an American citizen. I mean, this is crazy. This was probably the most crazy thing I've ever read about this guy, and the things that they keep coming up with this guy keep going on and on and on. They get worse and worse and worse. And I think that's the part that gets me so much, is that this guy has been he's been just thumbing his nose at the American system of government for so long, and I just don't know. I just don't know if we can. I don't know how we should be able to take this. I really don't. So, and I think it speaks to the fact that we as Americans, we should really push to make sure that our laws are adhered to. I know we've got a lot of people in here that are running around the country and they're trying to say that, oh no, we should, you should allow these illegal aliens to live in our country. I don't think so. If you went to China and you decided that, hey, I just want to live in China, they would say, no, you're not going to live in China. If you went to Australia right now and you were able to get on a flight that would make it over to Australia, and they wouldn't even let you off the plane. They're not going to let you off the plane, right? And you think that in America, the richest country on the planet, that all of a sudden you're supposed to be able to just come across the border and you're supposed to live here? President Trump, when he went and met with all of these European leaders just last week, he basically told me, he says, we've learned something here, guys. We've learned something that you guys need to learn. These open borders don't work. Okay, you're allowing people into your country that don't appreciate your laws, they don't respect your laws, they don't respect your autonomy. And that's not the way it's supposed to be. I mean, it's just not the way it's supposed to be. And they're bringing in lifestyles, and they're bringing in beliefs that, if you look back in the Old Testament, guys, guess what? This is what the Lord told the children of Israel. He said, don't mix with these people who don't have the same spiritual sense that you have. Well, in America, we've allowed the same thing to happen. We are a Judeo-Christian country. A Judeo-Christian country that has Judeo-Christian laws. We believe in Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior. You're free to worship anybody you want, but you need to understand that we are a Christian nation. And if you want the freedom if you want to stay here, you just go by our laws. Okay, you can worship who you want, and because we're a Christian nation, we allow you to worship who you want, right? You couldn't do this in China. You couldn't do this in Russia. You couldn't do this in, India. Okay, in India, guess what? We had a different show that we were talking about before, and in India now, it is against the law to convert to Christianity. Yeah, it's against the law. That doesn't happen in America. So this is an interesting thing that we need to begin to talk about. In just a couple of minutes, we're going to be talking about religious freedom in our country, and a story that I think is going to highlight this even more. But know this, folks, your religious freedoms are under attack, and we need to guard those with all of our hearts, our minds, and our souls, okay? Anyways, this has been Pastor Sherman Ray. Let's take another break, folks, and we'll be back in just a minute for more of In God We Still Trust. And I think you're going to like this next segment, okay? Well, we'll talk to you in just a second, okay? Bye-bye. All right, and we're back, folks. This is Pastor Sherman Ray, and this is In God We Still Trust. Thank you all for being a part of the broadcast, folks. I really do. This is fun. I mean, I really do. I love doing these shows and love to be able to talk to people about what's going on in the culture and what God is doing. And I hope that you're along for the ride on this, folks, because it's just incredible. It's fun. Let's do this. Let's do one more story because I want to get into a segment that we want to talk about religious persecution in the country and how we really need to put our fingers on put the fingers on the brakes on this whole thing. This next story is about a poll that was taken about President Trump's deportation policies. And it's a Breitbart story, and it says 52% of the 1,313 registered voters who support President Trump's policies on deportation, immigration in the United States, illegally people are here in the United States illegally, backed that they believe that they should send them back to their home countries, according to a September poll. The support is unchanged since April of 2025. So, which means the policy is strongly opposed by just 24%. So a full 70% of people say that they want those people who've come here to our country illegally to go back to their home countries. And self-described independents are split on this, 53% versus 25%. 95% of Trump supporters back the policy. And this is a no-brainer. This is one of those 80-20 things where 80% of the country says no. Anybody who comes to your home illegally should go back to where they belong, because it's wrong. It's just wrong. You would never be able to go to Mexico right now. If you went to Mexico right now and you decided, hey, I'm gonna just stay in Mexico, wouldn't happen. Just would not happen at all. As a matter of fact, they would tell you after about a week, you've got to go home. And so why do we think that it would be any different here in the United States? We need to actually close up these loopholes, send these folks home, and there's no harm in that, folks. We're not being vicious about it. We're not being angry about it. We're just stating facts, folks. We have laws in this country, and we need to adhere to those laws. And anybody who comes here illegally should have to go back home. I want to talk to you a little bit about something that has been ongoing, and it's a special segment that we want to talk about today, and it's about religious liberty in America and how we're defending religious liberty in 2025. And many of you probably get emails from ACLJ, the American Center for Law and Justice, and organizations like that that tell you guys, guess what? We've got problems in this country. We've got problems within businesses where people's religious liberties are being trampled upon. Well, this is a real thing. This isn't like, oh gosh, we're somebody hurt my feelings. These are real world religious things that are happening, and it's come to and it starts off small, then it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And where we've seen it the most, though, is we've seen it in these church shootings, not just small church shootings, folks. Mass casualty incidents. The latest one was in, I believe it was in Michigan, where a gentleman went into a Mormon church, and he just started shooting up the place, and then he set it on fire. And that was the latest one that we saw on a national scale. Before that, we saw on college campuses where we're seeing the religious persecution of Jews on college campuses, Yale, Harvard, Brown, colleges like that, Ivy League institutions that were once bedrocks of Christianity. Yes, places like Princeton, Harvard, Yale, these were Ivy League schools that were founded by Christians, for Christians, by Christians, for the express purpose of producing the next leadership of Christian leaders, are now the center of anti-Semitism on a mass scale. Matter of fact, it's gotten so bad that the president has basically said, look, if you keep this up, we're taking away all of the federal funds that are going to you. That's just here locally in America, but across the globe, we're seeing places in the Congo. I've got a friend who's a missionary in the Congo. Nigeria, where Christians are being killed on a daily basis. In the northern tier of Africa, many of people probably didn't know this, but Egypt at one time was Egypt has always been a pagan nation, but it was not Muslim until the Muslims went in and started basically telling people you're going to die if you don't turn and convert to Islam. And that wave of persecution has continued to envelop all of Africa. And this is the crazy thing about it, is that while we're watching Russia go over to Ukraine and we're thinking about China, Islam is probably the fastest growing religion on the face of the planet, not because people want to become, Muslim. It's because they don't want to die. And that's the scary thing about it. So we are facing real world persecution where people are saying, you know what, you can take your Christianity and take that back home. Well, fortunately for us, our nation was founded upon Christian principles. We are a Christian nation. The name of this podcast is In God We Still Trust, because we want to remind people that we are still a nation under God, by God, and that we trust Him on everything we do. You can take out a dollar bill out of your pocket right now, you can take out any coin, and it says, In God We Trust on it, for a reason. Well, there was a story out of by the Christian Monitor, and it says that Gen Z women say no thanks to motherhood. And they said the reasons range from practical to spiritual reasons. And I want to say this because we're going to run out of time here, but I want to give you some good news here. Some good news. While this generation is being affected the most by a wave of anti-Semitism and Christian persecution, this generation of kids is probably going to be, and it will probably go down in history, as the most spiritually significant group there is. After the murder of Charlie Kirk just a couple of weeks ago, we saw a wave of people getting baptized, people going back to church, and these are by and large young people who are saying, you know what, we want God back in our lives. Literally millions upon millions of people globally have said we want Jesus back in our lives. We're tired of the way things are going right now, and this is a great time in America for this. So I want to encourage you. Yes, we are being persecuted, but the Bible says that where sin abounds, grace abounds even more, and God is doing a wonderful thing in our land. So begin to pray for people. Begin to pray for those that are out there that are find themselves, being persecuted. Pray for those folks who are lost and they need Jesus, because guess what, folks? God is still at work in our country. This has been Pastor Sherman Ray for In God We Still Trust. Once again, I want to encourage you, watch this show on a weekly basis, Sundays at noon, and we'll be telling you all about the show all throughout the week. But check us out Sundays at noon Pacific time, 3 p.m. Eastern time on Sundays every week. This has been Pastor Sherman Ray for In God We Still Trust. You guys have a wonderful day in the Lord. We will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.